All right, chapter 15. Out to town is our putative topic. We are going to learn some verbs. We know a couple of verbs. Actually, we know one verb. We know how to say is, the static to be verb. Now we're going to learn some other verbs that have a special form. Verbs in all Semitic languages are universally agreed to be a nightmare to learn. So when we get into the actual verbs, when we get into the blue book and things get broken down, Chaldean is actually a fairly simple Semitic language when it comes to verbs. It's harder. Apparently Arabic is way more messy grammatically than Chaldean is. Chaldean, there's a few things you have to learn. Once you learn them, it's a pattern that'll apply to almost everything. There's going to be some exceptions when there's an elep thrown into the root, things like that. But overall, the patterns are going to be pretty consistent. There are a couple of exceptional verbs that I threw into this chapter that have their own form that's really simple, so I figured I might as well just teach it to you this early on, and they're really useful and very common verbs. So the verbs are to have, and then to not have, and then to come. They all have one, just the past tense of to arrive, to come to something. Okay, so let's start chapter 15, page 64. While many verbs in Chaldean can be complicated to use, some are particularly easy. You already know the endings that show possession from chapter 11. So if you go back to chapter 11, on page 38, I give you these endings. I told you at the time to memorize those endings until they're coming out of your nose. I hope you did that, because if you did, your life is going to be very easy right now. So when we say shemi, shemuch, shemach, shemeh, shema, sheman, shemochon, shemei, those endings, if you did what I said and memorized them really well, we're going to use them again today on both of the verbs that I mentioned. Okay? Those same letters are used with the letter lemeth and added to verbs to indicate who is doing the action that the verb indicates. The word, everyone say eth. There is. You'll also hear people say Ethan. Everyone say Ethan. It's just another way to say there is. Okay, there is. If you add this word eth to a lemeth and one of those endings, I'm going to show you how to do that in a second, you create a very common Chaldean idiom, I have. So if you, let's break it down. Everyone say eth. Look at this little breakdown down here. Eth plus li. Everyone say li. So there is for me. That's literally what it means. Eth li. But there is for me is another way to say I have. So that's an idiomatic way to say I have, when I say I have a watch, ethli or itli or itti. Those are all three ways of saying it depending on your dialect. Shetha or sa'a. There's different ways to say a watch, right? So everyone say itli or itti. Okay? And if you want to say you have, eth, there is, luch, for you, itluch or ittuch. So what happens in some dialects of Chaldean is the tau sort of drinks up the lemeth. You don't really pronounce it as much. Okay? So notice that the pronunciation silences the lemeth and makes the tau hard rather than soft. So it's eth. The word for there is eth. But nobody really says ethli. It's hardened no matter what dialect you're talking about. So it's either itli or itti. It's one of those two. But the grammatical breakdown is as I said before. So here, let's work through it. And I'm going to use the slightly more common dialect, but you can say this however, as I said, however your grandma talks, talk like her. Okay? So to say I have, everyone say itti. If you want to say you have, you say ittuch or ittach. See those endings you know? If you want to say he has, everyone say itte. If you want to say she has, itta. If you want to say we have, you say ittan. You plural, ittochun. They have itte. Okay. Now, let's talk about spelling for a second. If it's pronounced by many Chaldeans, itti, why do we still write the lemeth? There's two reasons why we still write the lemeth. Number one, to respect the other dialects that will say itli. Okay. But number two, when you want to say I had, when you make something past tense, one of the ways to do that is to throw in another particle, wa, inside of the word. We're not going to learn that right now. We're going to learn that in the blue book. But I just want you to know why we're keeping the tau and the lemeth here, even though we're not pronouncing both. Because when you get to I had, you say ithwali. So now the tau turns into a thou again, and the lemeth is pronounced. So if you say itti and you spell itti like you're a monkey, and you just actually you wouldn't even put the yod there. This is how dumb you would be if you spelled this phonetically. Itti. If you're a monkey, that's how you would spell itti. If you're slightly human, you would say, at least you would put a yod in there. Okay. Itti. Or the correct way is itli. Itli. And you can put a little batlana on the lemeth if you want, or you can just leave it. Why am I saying this is the right way to do it and these are both wrong? Because from this you can say, let's put it up here, eth, and then you can put wa, li. You don't have to spell this long. There's shorter ways to spell this, but I want you to see, there is, but it was, this is past tense, for me. So I had. So if you spell it like somebody with a brain, when you see this, it's not going to be so surprising. And you're going to say, well, where did this lemeth come from if you spell it like this? That make sense? Okay. It's important while you're learning language to spell things like a human being and not a monkey. Now, I'm being very critical of some people that write in that way because they deserve to be criticized. They single-handedly ruin a language by spelling things that way. No language is spelled purely phonetically. You think we spell phonetically in English? Phonetically means it's spelled the way it sounds. English is the worst language when it comes to that. Exhibit A. What's this? Doghnut? Doghnut? Well, you don't pronounce those. Oh, you know what I mean? So don't cry to me about, oh, why are there letters we don't pronounce? You do it all day long, okay? Good. Don't get me started on French. Okay. French, I'm pretty sure the way you pronounce French is you just ignore the last 2/3 of the word. Okay. Let's do it again. Everyone say itti, ittuch, ittach, itte, itta, ittan, ittochun, itte. Let's be a little bit ecumenical and we'll say it with the lemma. Everyone say itli, itluch, itlach, itle, itla, itlan, itlochun, itle. Good? If you want to say, I do not have, you add the word la to the front, which means no or not. So I do not have. You do not say la itti. You say, after me, everyone say letti. That makes sense? La itti, letti. Who has time to say la itti? Come on, I'm in a hurry here. I need that 1/10 of a second. Everyone say letti, lettuch, lettach, lette, letta, lettan, lettochun, lette. Good. I hear some little voices saying that. Who's saying that? That's cute. Little kids. Oh, nice. Good job, guy. All right. Or you can say, repeat after me, letli. Perfectly valid, both ways. Letluch, letlach, letle, letla, letlan, letlochon, letle. So far, This verb, which is irregular compared to other verbs, even though it's easy to remember, is in the present tense. Changing it into other tenses like past and future makes things more complicated, and you'll learn that later. I give you an example on the board, so don't worry about that quite yet. Learn this right now, get to use it. You'll start to notice sort of when you're using it, you'll hear what people do to make it past and future, but then we'll learn it when we get to the blue book. Okay. Another verb, which is irregular. This is probably the most irregular verb in the language, I think. There might be one or two that are more irregular, but this is one of the most irregular ones. Another which is irregular is the verb to come, but the past tense is very easy. So I'm going to teach you the past tense, and very similar to the verb we just learned. So it fits right into this chapter. In this case, the lemeth is pronounced. So the root, we haven't talked a lot about roots yet, but the root of this verb to come is alap, tau, alap. This is the root. And as I said, I think last week, roots generally have 3 letters. Now, earlier today, I said just for a second, but I'm going to come back to this idea. Earlier today, I noted that when one of the root letters is an alap, or a yod, or a waw, if it's a weak letter in the root, it's actually going to mess things up a little bit. And this one has an alap at the beginning and at the end. The first and third root letter are alap. This makes this very irregular because of this. You'll see why when we get into the blue book. But this is the root of the word to come. The past tense of this happens to be very simple. So repeat after me. Theli. You've all heard that, right? So I came. Theluch. Thelach. Thele. Thela. Thelan. Thelochon. Thele. So again, look what I'm doing. The way I'm writing this is that how I'm writing it? I'm putting an alap. Theli. So why is the alap there if it's not pronounced? Anybody know why? Why am I writing the alap even though I'm not pronouncing it? Because I'm not a monkey. Good. You're paying attention. Good. So thel, you write the alap because it's part of the root. And again, why is it important? Who cares if it's part of the root? Because when you want to say, I'm coming, I come, you want to say, k'athin. You want to say, let me come, athin. Well, where did that alap come from if you didn't write it? When you write it, you want to show not just what's in that particular tense, past tense. You're going to say, well, when you say this in the present tense, that alap is going to come back. And if you're already writing it in the past tense, you're not going to be shocked, oh, where did this alap come from? Does that make sense? Okay. Let's do it again. Theli. Thelochon. That's not what it says. Theli. Theluch. Thelach. Thele. Thela. Thelan. Thelochon. Thele. Again, don't worry about the other tenses for now. Calm down. That's it for this chapter. I throw 3 verbs at you, and then we're going to get back to our soap opera. Yeah. Miriam says, Pshene theluch Dawid. Say it. Adi ile shuka. Dbird ammi. Gorgis. She's introducing the family already? Man, they're progressing fast. How long did your parents know each other before they got married? A couple of weeks? They didn't? Whatever. Maraba ile. Umilia mindane. Martima. Miriam says, she's showing off, Ittijulle kul shikla. Min shafqatha al-girwa. She's using her uncle's socks in his store to show off to David. Umin shaqiyatha الصولة. Cool. أنا التي قبوت. He wants some free stuff now. This is not a good way to flirt. شدزون دها خا. بيد إلي أرزن. Cheap. That is not how you impress a girl. زوان قمة دمشارة ستوة وناخذ تلقى. Okay. بثر ما تبلطخ كبت تتزالن. Oh, here we go. السينما هلا دقيلة بلقى دمذيتا. He's going down. They're going downtown to watch a movie. I hope he's met her dad. كبن. إلا قمدخ بمليون سيارة بابي بقو بنزين خانة. Oh, they're going to go on a road trip now? I don't like that. إن إيل أجرن شدزالن قمايا البنكة. He's going to pay for gas. What a gentleman. Gentlemen, take a note. Shokyatha. Shirts. Shokta. Shokta, shokyatha. Yeah. Let's do some vocab. This is a short lesson. I like this. Let's do vocab. Everyone say agran. Urcha. Arzan. Blouse. Some of these are obviously from other languages. Blouse is actually from French. Blouse. Yep. Benzin khana. That is from English and Turkish. Benzin is an English word. Benzin. And then khana is a Turkish word for place of. So place of benzene or gas. Banka, bank, very clear. Just transliteration there. Julle, close. Gurwa. Gishra, that's a nice word. Bridge. Dishdasha. Zuana, that's just an infinitive verb. That's buying. Okay, we'll get into infinitives in the blue book. Tasma, belt. Tasma is a really nice word. Tasma, everyone say tasma. Okay, that's a better word if you're used to saying hazam. Try to replace it with tasma. It's a little more authentic. Kabira. Kalik. I never say that word, but I never say sandals anyway, so whatever. Kista, wallet. It just means a little bag. So I think people would just leave their money in their little bag, you know? Like you imagine like Skyrim, you know Skyrim, like medieval times, and people it's not like they had wallets, they had like a little bag of coins. I think that's what kista is. Okay? Mbed, because. Mvita, city. Mat'am, restaurant. Let's look at this word for a second. Let's have fun. Everyone say mat'am. Anybody know how to say sh? Anyone how to say the word taste? To taste something? Tama. Ta'am. Tama. Those are related words. And then mat'am is the place where you taste things. Okay? There's lots of words like that where you're going to see a linguistic connection between a verb and then like an activity and then a place where it's happening. Matar. Cinema. Literally just a transliteration of cinema. Sayara. Spiqa. Empty. Pantaroon. That's just pantaloons. A stupid English word, which we get pants from, but now we have pantaloon. Fistana. Apparently that's a skirt. Yeah. There you go. Go home and tell your mom that. Pshita. Simple. Pshita means simple in both senses. It means simple as in, you know, oh, this is like, that's just a really simple design. And it also means a real kind of a dumb person. Pshita. If you want to call somebody dumb but politely, you call him pshita. Sole. Like comfortable shoes, basically. Qabaya. Robe. Qaput. Qundara. That's what your mom calls you when she's mad. Okay? It's what she'll throw at you too. Shuqa. A market. Shokta. Shetha. That's the watch. Or sa'a is fine. Sa'a is a little bit more Arabic. I'm not going to say that to certain villages, but it is. Shafqa, a hat. Tanura is a dress. Try to figure out as many words as you can in the Chaldean. The policeman and the thief. Chagora pshita. Let me just read this, it'll take forever. Chagora pshita min mathwatha. Shunele l-betha. All right, so remember what I said about pshita. So this dumb guy, okay. Kudwewa b'pthacha chamen dulabe julle ghzele sorte abmarre. So he was opening and he saw a mirror. Okay, he opened a closet, he saw a mirror. Kimchashula ganawa. That's how pshita this guy is. He thought his reflection was a ganawa, a thief. Ba'dana ghliq latara dulaba. He immediately, right, closed the door. He went and called the police. Oh, this is a bad, okay. Kurthele el-betha pthikhle dulaba. They came to the house, they opened the thing. Uhmille tarawithne qamed marre. Ega hamera shurti tagora. So then the policeman said to the guy, Ayta maham oyat luhtali. What'd you call me for? Kudet tukhacha shurti khanna. Ithya la'arayat ganawa. This is not a Blue Lives Matter joke. This is kind of mean to cops. So the cop thought he had another cop because he saw a cop in the mirror. Okay. That's a funny joke. That's cute. What? It's funny. There's a little poem here. Ana Andrew Khati Sarra. So this is a cute little poem. Bishop Sadat wrote this. I actually, as I was looking through his stuff, he left his library to the seminary, and as I was looking through his notes and stuff, I found the original text of this. He hand wrote it for this book. That's cute, this little poem. Yep, page 71. You can read that on your own. All right, good. Questions or comments? See you next week.